This is the engine bay of a 1970 Camaro. This car, from what we can tell, is a Norwood car, and we have no documentation for it. So we're going to present it as a Z28 style car. Now, it does have an 010 350 block, which would be correct for a Z28. Has a large capacity radiator in it. It has a dual plane aluminum intake manifold on it. It does have a set of period correct Ford Z28 valve pan covers and a dual snorkel air cleaner on it. It has a set of ceramic coated long tube headers as opposed to the cast iron ones. Has power steering and power disc brakes. New dual stage master cylinder on the power brake system. This radiator, as opposed to having a shroud and a conventional fan on it, has a thermostatically controlled, you can see a temperature controlled fan, a huge one on the back of it. It's got to be about, I don't know, at least 17, 18 inches in diameter. It has the correct style inner fender panels on it, semi-flat black, just the way they should be. There are no leaks at all present on this engine. Top, around the valve pan covers, intake manifold, or the timing chain cover. And you can see that this is a complete rebuild. It has a chrome timing chain cover on it. All the gaskets are new on this engine, so it has a relatively fresh rebuild on it. The correct hoses, top and bottom on this guy. New battery. Donnie must have put a new battery in it for us here, but it does have a new battery on it. The correct horn in the front of it. Chrome cover, of course, over the top of the radiator and onto the core support, which also is undisrupted. It shows that no damage has been done through the years on this guy anyway. It presents itself as a Z28, we're going to call it a Z28 style car since we have no documentation for the vehicle. But it does have an 010 350, so we know it's at least 350 engine in it with a 4-speed transmission. All your engine designation is correct on the air cleaner. It's just a very well put together, very nicely attributed car. We're going to go around the rest of it and see what we can show you. Okay, today we're going to show you a 1970 Z28 style Camaro. We have no documentation for it, so we're going to call it a Z28 style car. It does have an 010 block 350 in it. It is a 4-speed. It's a great looking car, a great looking color combination. You can see the fitment, the hood to the fenders is very, very nice, and up to the header panel. Everything is nicely fit. Of course, there's no cowl area, so up by the windshield there is a nice fit also. The hood on a regular Z28, it's just striped. This one has like a 79 or an 80 Z28 would have scoop on it with an open area in the back like a cowl induction. You really have to look to see it, but it does have a very nicely installed scoop on it. Trim around the headlights is just as fresh and clean and nice as could possibly be. Obviously, it's a red car with white striping. I'm jumping all over the place here. But the paint is above a driver quality on this. It's a really great looking paint job on it. The plastic windows and the grille are all there. There's no chips or marks or anything missing on them. A huge front spoiler the way these guys were put together in 1970. You can see the parking lamps are nice and clean and clear yet. Front bumper, chrome on it is gorgeous. There's no scuff marks or indications of any dings or marks or anything whatsoever on it, and the fitment is absolutely spot on. A great looking car. We'll go down the side of it here, see what we can show you. Does have the correct style 5-spoke gray centered wheels that came on these cars. Really a great looking wheel. Everyone changed them back in that era to torque thrusts or Kragers or Keystones, but whatever happened to all these is hard to say. They're very, very difficult to find, but that is the original style wheel for this car. And again, look at the fitment we have here, the door to the fender to the hood. Really great looking. I'm going to call it clear glass on it. It looks like it's tinted, but can't really say. So we're just going to call it just conventional glass. Nice legible VIN number on the dashboard, which is nice and clear where it transitions up to the base of the windshield. The dash pad itself is really nice and clean also. A set of sport mirrors, left and right on this guy, just the way they came. The rubbers around the doors are really nicely fit, and look at the door fitment here. Everything is nice as can be. Factory door edge guards on it also. And look at that gap. It can't get any better than that. Really, really nice. Inside the car, the interior appears to be the original interior. Both the door panels and the seating area itself is really nice and clean and clear. Correct style steering wheel on it. You can see your shifter in the center console there with the correct style ball yet on it. Your gauge package, which houses a tachometer and a speedometer and a quadrant of gauges. Console just as nice and fresh and clean as it was in 1970. A couple little marks on the seat here, which leads me to believe that it is the interior. It does show a little tiny bit of wear from sliding in and out through the years. Remote adjust mirror on this side. Carpeting is nice and fresh looking. Your door sill is really nice. Inside the jambs is nice and clean and clear. Seat belts in the back, seat belts in the front. Headliner really nice and clean on it also. It's a nice looking car inside. A really great looking car. Doors closed like they should. Looking down the side of it, you can see that the paint is very, very nice on this car. Again, you know, we're not going to call it a show quality paint job, but it's certainly better than a driver quality paint job. Trim around the front window and the back window here. A couple little tiny marks in it, and very, very minuscule. You're not even going to see them in Devin's presentation here. The hat rack in the back has a set of auxiliary speakers in it, but the rack itself, the shelf, tray, whatever you want to call it, is just as fresh and clean as it was in 1970. Trim around the back end here. 70 would have had a shorter spoiler on it. 71 on up, 71, 2, and 3 had this taller spoiler that everyone went and back and retrofitted the small one to this one. This is certainly a more dramatic looking spoiler. Even though it's incorrect for the year, it's a nicer looking spoiler. It really does add to the charisma of the car. The rear deck, rear panel, as you can see, is really nice and fresh looking fitment wise. There's no marks whatsoever on it. The paint, again, is really nice on it. Again, it's not show quality, but it's certainly above driver quality. And the back bumper is the same as the front. No scuffs, no marks, no dinghies or anything whatsoever. Panel underneath, there's no pull marks on it. Your rear tail light assemblies, backup lights, everything is nice and fresh looking. Z28 designation in the front, just like it is here in the back. Okay, we got the spare tire and a set of floor mats. Something to do with the radio system. I have no idea when it comes to radios, but there's something to do with it. The jack, original jack and base, still hooked up with the vehicle. I don't know what that is. Must be a holder for some kind of remote for the radio. Nice clean trunk area. There's no indication of any rust or deterioration in it. You can see everything is nice and solid, nice and clean. Okay, down the passenger side, same as it's going to be on as it was on the driver's side. Again, there's a couple marks here. You can see ding, ding, ding. When someone was installing this molding, there's a couple of superficial dents on the trim pieces. But the window itself, the glass is very nice, the roof paint, the quarter panels, doors, everything lines up just as nice as you'd hope to find it. Can't be any nicer. And again, look at the window fitment on this thing. There's no way in the world you're going to get any water inside this guy. Same thing on this side. Door panels, nice and fresh looking. Molded armrest the way it would be. There's no deterioration whatsoever on it. A little bit of sun fade on top here through the years on both sides actually, but hardly negligible. I mean, it's hardly there. Interior is nice and fresh looking. It still has its in the console where you put your seat belts. Dash pad again has no cracks or marks whatsoever on it. Nice clean door jambs, real nice. Mirror on this side, right side, to coincide with the one on the driver's side. Again, look at the door fitment and the hood to the fender. It doesn't get any better than that. Z28 designation on this side. Just a really nicely fit car. It's a great color combination. It's red, it's got white stripes on it, it's got a black interior, it's a 3-pedal car, 4-speed, power steering, power disc brakes on it, 010 block 350. Built engine, aluminum intake manifold on it, ceramic coated headers, the correct style wheels on it. We're going to call it a Z28 because we have no documentation for this guy, but it's like a lot of our 67, 8, and 9s. You know, they look like Z28s or Super Sports. We have no documentation, so we're going to call this a Z28 style car, 1970. It presents itself as one. Certainly not priced like one, though. It's not going to be a 50 grand car for you. Take a look at it. Very nominally priced car. It runs, drives, does everything, which you'll see in Devin's presentation here, that it runs and drives as it should. Great fit. Didn't see anything to complain about. No real marks in the paint or no deviations on the fitment. It's a great looking car, and it's here at Hanksters in Daytona Beach. And hopefully, Peach? How about Beach? We'll do Beach instead of Peach. Hopefully anybody that is interested in this car can come down in person and take a look at it. But if they can't, that's why Devin's going to compile all this data that we generate on this vehicle and all the other ones that we have in the showroom for you to go over and help you in your decision on buying a car here at Hanksters. Okay, this is the underside of our 1970 red and white Z28 style Camaro. Heavy-duty sway bar in the front. Shocks have been replaced on it. You can see it has heavy-duty disc brakes in the front also. The headers, I'm going to call them 1.5 inches. They might be 1 5/8 primary tube headers going into a 3-inch collector, going into a 3-inch primary pipe that terminates into 2 Flowmaster mufflers, which you'll see here shortly. You see the engine has been out and completely freshened up. Everything's painted nice and freshly painted Chevy orange on it. Conventional starter, not gear reduction. The flywheel clutch area is original equipment cast iron. M21 Muncie in it, 4-speed transmission. Take a look at the subframes on this thing. Absolutely no dents, no deterioration, no indication of anything deteriorated on it. No rust, nothing through the years. Just as smooth and nice as you'd ever hope to find on a car. In fact, the floor pans are also the original floor pans, and if you look at them, you'll see the original splatter sound deadener that GM installed. All the companies did that back in this era on these cars. It wasn't rust proofing, it was a sound deadener. It was a fibrous material that helped cut down on some of the road noise. The original brake lines with the wire winding still hooked up to their original brackets and intact. The same thing for the fuel line going up along the subframe and the rocker panels. And where the floors transition onto the rocker panels, you can see that the spot wells and everything are still there, and nothing has been disrupted through the years. Parking brakes still hooked up and functional. Again, look, the engine, no leaks, bell housing, transmission, tail shaft, speedometer housing, nothing at this point has a leak in it. That's at this point. That doesn't mean that somewhere down the line you're not going to detect one. Put that speedometer gear back where it belongs there. Housing. The floor pans, again, you know, no attempts to jack them up on the plans through the years, so there's no indentures or anything. All your structural portions of the floor pans are still really nice. Again, no one's made an attempt to lift it up by those through the years. A huge set of 3-inch Flowmaster mufflers on this guy. Gigantic set of mufflers. 3 inches in, I'm going to call them 2.5 out. And they terminate just the way they should, down the, well, behind the rear wheels. The rear differential has no leaks on it either. Set of leaf springs still have a nice curvature to them. Staggered shocks in the back, one in the back of the differential, one in the front to compensate for torque bias. And there are air shocks in the back. So I'm going to put a set of air shocks so you can go ahead and adjust the ride height of this vehicle if you want. The gas tank, I'm going to call it an original tank. It still has a lot of its sound deadener still on it, starting to flake off in a few places. A little dingy here, it looks like somebody punched it with their fist. I'm going to call it the original tank, and it's in excellent condition. Original fuel line still going into it. Drop downs in the quarter panels are the original drop downs. There's no question that the body work on this car and the substructure of it. You can see your floor pans, all your bracing, your subframes front and back. There's a dent here from a jack being put on it through the years, and another one over on this side. But this car is just as nice and fresh and original structure-wise as it was in 1970. It's in excellent condition. You can again see that at this point there are no leaks, and you can see all the sound deadener, and you can see all the originality associated with this 70 Camaro. It's a nice car. It runs good, it drives good, and get a chance to take a look at it. It's here at Hanksters. Okay, this is the inside of our 1970 Camaro, red and white stripes, really great looking car. A correct style steering wheel in it for 1970. A horn that does work as it should. Let's see, turn signals. If I was a turn signal, where would I be? Well, the left one's not working. It's not showing on our dash. Right one is. Right turn signal is blinking in our dash as it should. The left one should be blinking here. It is not. That has to be addressed. Temperature just starting to come up. It's about, I don't know, 110 degrees, something like that. We just fired it up. You can see that the oil pressure is about 55, about 60 pounds oil pressure. The amp meter is working just as it should, showing you about 14 volts there, and Jeff gave us just a little under a half tank of gas, and the wipers are not working. Okay, fan motor, blower motor for your heat defrost is functioning as it should, and so do the arms for your de-ice and temperature. Let's see about radio. Well, it's showing that it's working, so I don't know what it's supposed to make noise when it works, but it is lighting up, so we're going to assume that it does work. Tachometer is also functioning as it should. So we're pretty good. We have to fix a left-hand turn signal on the dash and a windshield wiper motor that doesn't want to decide to work for us. We're going to go for a ride, see how this guy drives. Nice tight car. It goes down the road, nice steering resolution. Steering wheel, no hands. We're going to try it. No hands brakes here real quick for you. No brake, no hands brakes. Good. Nice smooth shift in transmission. Nice tight running car. Speedometer working as it should. It's not jumping up and down for us anywhere. It shows we're going about 40 miles an hour, and that's probably about what we're doing. We're speed limit right now. Temperature again is up, I don't know what it's up to around 190 degrees or something like that. Car runs and drives and handles just like it should. Nice precise steering on it. Whenever you turn the steering wheel a small amount, it reacts to the steering input. There's a guy behind me getting a little upset with me right now. But nice running car. A couple little items to address on it, and that's it. We'll give it a little squirt for you here going back. I got to watch. If I get caught one more time, then we're going to be on death row. Sound to it. Has a real nice sound to it. It more than ample power. The tranny shifts really nice and smooth. Just a nice car. It presents itself well. It goes down the road straight. Does everything you want it to. Again, the steering is very precise on this car. Very precise. There's nobody behind me now, so I can play like this. But it just really is nice and tight a car as you hope to find. Has a nice sound to it. The interior is very nice, and it gives you a nice original indication. There's no cracks on the dash. There's no sagging or anything in the headliner area. Your door panels are all very, very nice. Seating and console, everything. The condition of this car is just really, really in excellent condition. So if you're in the market for a 70 style next body Camaro, this is a guy for you to take a look at it because it's very nominally priced.